What would you do if a stranger in a fake uniform walked up to your home, insulted your wife, and then slapped her across the face, right in front of your neighbors? That nightmare unfolded on a quiet suburban street one summer afternoon. Children dropped their bikes, neighbors froze mid-step, and the sound of that slap echoed like a gunshot. But the imposter who threw it had no idea who he was messing with. Because the man whose wife he struck wasn't just another husband, he was a retired Navy SEAL. And in seconds, that imposter would learn what real consequences looked like. Marcus and Angela Johnson thought they had finally found peace. After 20 years of deployments, danger, and long separations, Marcus, once a decorated Navy SEAL, was ready to retire. Angela wanted nothing more than quiet evenings, gardening in the front yard, and sipping tea on their porch. Their new neighborhood in Round Rock, Texas, seemed perfect. Wide streets, trimmed hedges, neighbors waving as they walked their dogs. For the first few weeks, it felt like the calm life they had earned. But peace is fragile. One morning, Marcus noticed 3 men patrolling in matching navy polo shirts, the words HOA security stitched in white across their chests. They carried clipboards, radios, even utility belts with pepper spray. They didn't look like volunteers reminding people of neighborhood rules. They looked like enforcers. Something about their posture was off. Too aggressive. Too smug. Marcus had spent a lifetime reading danger, and his instincts were stirring. That evening, he told Angela, they're not real security. They walk like predators. Angela brushed it off at first. But soon, she would see exactly what her husband meant, because those men were about to make her their target. It started small. Angela was walking back from the mailbox one afternoon when one of the men blocked her path. His name was Trevor Langley, though she didn't know it yet. Clipboard under his arm, cheap badge glinting on his belt, he looked her over with a smirk. "Paint's peeling on your mailbox," he said. "Violation. 10 days to fix it or you'll be fined." Angela frowned. "Excuse me? The HOA sends letters. They don't send people door to door." Trevor leaned closer, lowering his voice. "That's how it used to work. We're stepping things up." Angela's pulse quickened. He was too close. His eyes weren't professional. They were predatory. That night, she told Marcus. His jaw tightened. "I don't like this. Tomorrow, I'm calling the HOA." And when he did, the answer chilled him. "Sir, we don't have a security team. We've never had one." That was the moment Marcus knew something dark was crawling through their neighborhood. And when he asked around, neighbors whispered similar stories. Threats, fake fines, intimidation. Everyone was scared. Everyone stayed quiet. But Marcus wasn't everyone. He knew exactly how dangerous men like this could be when nobody stood up to them. Within weeks, the street felt different. The fake HOA cops prowled like wolves. Elderly Mrs. Reynolds was told her curtains were non-compliant and fined $200. The Parker's teenage son was screamed at for shooting hoops after 9 p.m. Even the Chens, who had lived there a decade, received fake citations for their hedges. The neighborhood shrank into silence. Kids stayed inside. Parents avoided eye contact. Everyone feared the men in navy polos. Angela, usually so bright, grew tense. She whispered one evening, "It feels like they're circling us, Marcus. Like they're waiting to strike." Marcus placed a hand over hers. "Let them circle. They have no idea who they're dealing with." But deep down, he knew fear was a weapon, and these imposters were wielding it well. Then came the night Trevor slowed his car in front of their house. His voice carried across the dark street. "Pretty roses, Mrs. Johnson. Be a shame if someone reported them." Angela froze. Marcus clenched his jaw, every muscle taut. He wanted to confront them then. But Angela gripped his arm. "Please, not yet." Marcus exhaled, eyes locked on the fading taillights. "They just started something," he muttered. And soon, Trevor would take it too far. It was a sweltering Saturday. Angela slipped on her sun hat and gloves, stepping out to trim her roses. Gardening always steadied her nerves. She didn't notice Trevor until his shadow stretched across the lawn. Clipboard in hand, two of his cronies lurking by the curb, he smirked. Afternoon, Mrs. Johnson. We've got a problem here. HOA Regulation 12C. No landscaping obstructing walkways. Your roses are creeping out. Angela straightened, her voice firm. Those roses have been here since we moved in. No one's complained. Trevor leaned closer, his tone sharp. Times change. You fix this, or there's a fine. Her pulse spiked, but she refused to back down. You're not HOA. You're a bully in a polo shirt. Something snapped. Trevor's hand whipped across her face. Crack. The sound echoed down the street. Neighbors gasped. Mrs. Reynolds dropped her hose. Carla Park covered her mouth. Angela staggered, hand to her cheek, but her eyes blazed. You'll regret that. And then she heard a voice behind her. Calm, cold, lethal. Did you just hit my wife? Marcus had been watching from the porch, silent until now. Trevor turned, smirking nervously. And in that moment, the neighborhood held its breath. Marcus stepped forward. Each stride was deliberate, controlled. His voice cut the air like steel. Apologize. Now. Or I make sure you never touch anyone again. Trevor sneered. You think you scare me? You're retired. You're nothing. That was the last straw. In one fluid motion, Marcus twisted Trevor's arm behind his back, forcing him to his knees. Trevor cried out, his bravado shattering. The other two rushed forward. One swung wildly. Marcus sidestepped, drove an elbow into his chest. The man crumpled, gasping for air. The second charged. Marcus caught his wrist, yanked, and sent him sprawling onto the grass. Gasps rippled. Phones rose. Neighbors whispered, finally. Trevor's face hit the dirt, Marcus' grip unrelenting. He leaned down, voice low. You're finished. You'll never lay a hand on her again. Trevor groaned, but Marcus' stare pinned him in place. Years of training flowed through him, not rage, but precision. And the street saw it. A predator dismantled by a warrior who had spent a lifetime fighting real battles. Some neighbors cheered softly. Others whispered prayers. But all of them knew, the power had shifted. And sirens were already on their way. Blue and red lights flashed against the houses as squad cars rolled in. The imposters were cuffed and searched. Their badges, cheap fakes. Their IDs, linked to past charges of fraud, intimidation, even assault. Officer Ramirez shook his head. These men aren't HOA. They've pulled this scam in other towns. Fake uniforms, fake citations, real fear. Neighbors erupted, voices overlapping. They fined us for curtains. They threatened my son. They stole hundreds from us. For months, silence had chained them. Now truth spilled out. Angela, cheek still stinging, stood tall beside Marcus. They tried to make me feel small, but I'm not afraid of them. The officers nodded, hauling the imposters into the cruisers. Trevor spat through the window as the door slammed shut. This isn't over. Marcus didn't flinch. Yes, it is. As the cars pulled away, neighbors gathered. Carla Park's voice trembled but carried fire. You stood up when we couldn't. Thank you. Marcus shook his head. Don't thank me. Just don't stay quiet anymore. That's how they win. And for the first time in months, the street buzzed not with fear, but with unity. The days that followed changed everything. The neighborhood held its first real meeting, not an HOA gathering, but a community assembly. In the Chen's garage, residents traded stories, numbers, and promises. Never again would silence protect bullies. Angela sat among them, her cheek healing, her voice steady. He wanted me to feel weak. But I wasn't alone. None of us are. Mrs. Reynolds lifted her cane. I've lived here 30 years. This is our home. And I'll be damned if 3 punks in fake uniforms drive me out. Applause filled the room. For the first time, fear loosened its grip. On the porch that evening, Angela leaned against Marcus. Do you ever wonder if we moved here for a reason? Marcus looked out at the street, now alive with laughter, Kids on bikes, neighbors waving. Life puts you where you're needed. Peace isn't found. It's built. Angela smiled, touching her roses, and defended. Because courage isn't about never being afraid. It's about refusing to let fear decide how you live. So when people talk about that day, the slap, the fight, the downfall of the fake HOA cops, they don't just remember the violence. They remember the moment a neighborhood stood up.